a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. The medicine go down, medicine go down. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down in a most delightful way.
A songwriter for film usually starts before the film is even made. Usually, particularly if you're doing a musical film, you start with the book, the material to start with. And many times it's not even a script yet. It's just, say, a piece of literature. It's a short story, or it's a novel or something like that. And you start developing ideas for it. And so from that book, you get your ideas for where the song should go and everything. And either you work with a screenwriter or you work on the screenplay yourself. Bob and I, my brother Robert and I, worked on about 4 of our musicals. We wrote the script as well as the score. So we started with the raw material all the way through to the point of being filmed. See, a screen composer writes after the fact. The film is filmed, the actors have done their job, the editor has done, for the most part, most of his job, and the screen composer sits there and sets that piece of material to music, and he puts the appropriate music in it. The great ones do great jobs, and the adequate ones do adequate jobs. But in the case of musicals, particularly musical film, you start with the raw material at the very beginning. That's where the songs come from. Ideas spring everything. Character, situation, ideas. These are the things that give birth. And the situation, what year it's in. Mary Poppins, everybody knows the score to Mary Poppins now, thank God. I'm very proud of that. Well, Mary Poppins was perhaps the most obvious one to use as an illustration. We were working with a very brilliant young man named Don DeGrady. He was an artist and a writer. And he would draw pictures that would tell stories. And you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Believe me, it's true. He could draw a picture and you could feel something. One day we were working with Don, developing the storyline for Mary Poppins. And we walked into his office and he had a storyboard. That's a large sheet of paper, sheet of cardboard where you could tack up pictures onto it. And there was a picture in the corner there of a chimney sweep with brushes slung over his shoulder, and he's whistling. And it was like a foggy day, and he was walking down Cherry Tree Lane, that's the little street. And Bob and I looked at that little picture and said, Don, what is that? He says, oh, there was one of the stories in one of the later books about Mary Poppins shakes hands with this chimney sweep because it's good luck. And the children say, he's going to get a smudge all over you, he'll get dirt on you. She said, oh no, it's luck when you shake with a sweep. And we said, wow. What an idea. Wow, what an idea for a song. Great. Now, we hadn't developed Bert, the chimney sweep. We hadn't developed anything. We just saw a chimney sweep and the idea of if you shake hands and he puts a little soot on you, it's good luck. It's a tradition in London, in England, and all over England. So we said, great, and in a little more research, we found out if he blows you a kiss, if he's up on the roof and he goes like that, that's luck. You know, you blow a kiss back to him. That was, my God, what an inspiration for a song. So we wrote a little song, won the Academy Award with it, called Chim, Chim, Cheree. Now ask, how did you get Chim, Chim, Cheree? Well, Chim, Chim, Cheree is not a word. It's just we made it up. And we did a lot of that because it fit, it felt good. In England, they would say chimney. They wouldn't say chimney, but in America, we say chimney. We sort of softened it out a little bit. And we said, well, chimney, even that's a mess. How do you get around chimney for a thing? And well, Bob said, well, I could see a sweep walking down the street, and he'd look at his various houses that he swept, and he'd say 1 chimney, 2 chimney, 3 chimneys. And I said, oh, yeah. Wait a second, I got it, yeah. Let's do not 1 chimney, let's just play with it. Chimney, chimney. Wow. And that's how we started. And we got the key to the opening. And once we got the key to the opening, the rest of it happened. You tell the story about a chimney sweep. Now, Walt Disney heard our little song. We wrote the song for the chimney sweep. We didn't even know Mary Poppins would sing it or what we would do with it, but we knew we wrote a song for the chimney sweep. And he listened to it. He said, you know, the sidewalk artist, that Bert, the sidewalk artist, he hasn't got enough to do. He's only in this one sequence. Why don't you make him a jack of all trades? He could be the chimney sweep. That was Walt Disney's idea. And he says later on he could be the kite salesman. He could sell kites. In the beginning, he could be a wordsman. He could be making up rhymes. Walt Disney came up with Bert, the people that everybody knows. Mrs. Travers came up with a sidewalk artist who drew pictures on the sidewalk. That was Bert. He wasn't this whole character, this whole rounded character that became the spokesperson for Mary Poppins. That came out of Walt Disney, Bill Walsh, Don DeGrady, Dick Sherman, and Bob Sherman. Those 5 of us made that character. And that's what it was all about. But it started with the song, because Walt said, that's a good song, we can use it. And he says, why not have Mary Poppins sing it with him? Because that's a good idea. So all these things, were developments. We didn't just sit there and say, hey, let's write a song and it'll be a sequence. We started with the bricks, and those little bricks sort of built on each other. It's wonderful. We had a team of people. A film is a collective of many, many brains, many, many inspirations. But if everybody's on the same page, and the actors and the creators and the producers and everybody are on the same page, you're going to have something wonderful. It'll come out very well. And we had this inspiring producer. We had these great writers. Bob and I were very inspired by this whole thing. And we had the inspiration of Mrs. Travers' book. Despite the fact that she was very difficult, she gave us the raw material to start with. And that's where it begins. As I say, got to give credit where it's due. One thing I think, one of the things that Bob and I think, take a bit of a bow for is the fact that the books were written in the 1930s. The Mary Poppins books were written in the 1930s, particularly the first book. And that was the height of the Depression in England. It was very, very poor time. And Mrs. Travers didn't think about that when she wrote this book, because she had the father who was a successful banker who worked at a bank, and they had a cook and a maid and a nanny and a handyman. Who would believe that at the height of the Depression in London, a middle-class banker would have all this help? You wouldn't believe it. And I, being particularly crazy about English music hall, said, why don't we put it back into the time of the turn of the century, when they had these wonderful, colorful songs like Boiled Beef and Carrots, crazy little songs that they wrote. I am Henry the Eighth, I am Henry the Eighth, I am. These wonderful, wonderful songs that were written at the turn of the century. And Bob and I both agreed, that's perfect. We'll have color that way. So we could do songs like Supercalifragilistic, Jolly Holiday, with that style of music. And I remember we played Jolly Holiday for Walt because we were reading these books, and there was a story where Mary Poppins and Bert have tea together inside of one of his pictures. That was a scene. And we said, well, she's a nanny, for God's sakes. Let's take the kids with them and have a real time. So we went in and we had this big sequence. And Don DeGrady, God bless him, came up with all these ideas about the merry-go-round horses, getting loose and having a race and all these wonderful things that took place. This was Don, and we were inspired to write appropriately. But basically, it all started with the picture. It all started with the idea. As a youngster, I, as so many youngsters, would watch, once a year, we would watch the Academy Awards. And of course, when the songs came up and the great songs were played, and then the wonderful writers who won the Academy Award would come up and claim their Oscars, it was an amazing, amazing thing to watch. And of course, for a young guy who wanted to be a songwriter, it was a dream to think this could ever happen, possibly to me. It was just an impossibility. And of course, when it did happen, it was unbelievable. I was very, very thrilled and very, very excited. And to this day, it means so very, very much to me. So this is the Sherman Brothers Academy Award-winning song, which I'm very proud to play for you. Chim, chimney, chim, chimney, chim, chim, cheree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim, chimney, chim, chimney, chim, chim, cheroo. Good luck will rub off when I shake hands with you. Or blow me a kiss, and that's lucky too. Now 'cause the ladder of life has been strung. You may think a sweep's on the bottommost rung. Though I spends me time in the ashes and smoke, in this whole wide world there's no happier bloke. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. When you're with a sweep, you're in glad company. Nowhere is there a more happier crew than them what sings chim chim cheree, chim cheroo. Up where the smoke is all billowed and curled, 'tween pavement and stars, that's the chimney sweep's world. When there's hardly no day and hardly no night, there's things half in shadows and halfway in light. On the rooftops of London, coo, what a sight! Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. When you're with a sweep, you're in glad company. Nowhere is there a more happier crew than them what sings chim chim cheree, chim cheroo. Chim chimney, chim chim cheree, chim cheroo. This song is very near and dear to my heart. It was Walt Disney's favorite, and I used to play it for him every once in a while. And he would just listen to it and he'd say, "That's what it's all about." Early each day to the steps of St. Paul's, the little old bird woman comes. In her own special way, to the people she calls, "Come, buy my bags full of crumbs. Come, feed the little birds, show them you care, and you'll be glad if you do. Their young ones are hungry, their nests are so bare. All it takes is tuppence from you. Feed the birds, tuppence a bag. Tuppence, tuppence, tuppence a bag. Feed the birds, that's what she cries, while overhead her birds fill the skies. All around the cathedral, the saints and apostles look down as she sells her wares. Although you can't see it, you know they are smiling each time someone shows that he cares. Though her words are simple and few, listen, listen, she's calling to you. Feed the birds, tuppence a bag. Tuppence, tuppence, tuppence